Yeah, this just happened.
Breaking news, Alec Baldwin accused of pulling the trigger when the movie set employee died. Now, more than a year later, the Wall Street Journal has just exclusively reported Alec Baldwin will face criminal charges. He's already been sued civilly. Now, the criminal case against him. A single bullet killed cinematographer Halyna Hutchins and wounded the film's director, Joel Sousa. Alec Baldwin, both an actor and producer on that movie, was holding the gun when it fired.
It wasn't in the script for the trigger to be pulled.
Well, the trigger wasn't pulled. I didn't pull the trigger.
So you never pulled the trigger?
No. I would never point a gun at anyone and pull a trigger at them. Never.
An FBI forensic report tells a very different story. It says the weapon could not have been fired without pulling the trigger.
I'll be the first to tell you, I'm a little surprised. I honestly didn't think he would ever be charged for this because of the way things typically go in Hollywood, especially when you are as anti-gun as Alec Baldwin is. I can't lie and say that I'm inherently biased. If you were to ask me whether or not I think he should be charged, I'm gonna say yes. And I'm also gonna admit that part of that is because I don't like Alec Baldwin. I don't like his stance on the Second Amendment. So the bias, more emotional parts of my personality would definitely say, yes, charge him with something. What exactly? I mean, you saw what they charged him with here. Would I charge him for the same? I'm not entirely sure. That said, if I remove my bias and I remove whatever personal feelings I have towards Alec Baldwin, I don't necessarily think the entire blame should be on him, but he should definitely take some of it. To what degree, I think we're gonna find out here as this goes to trial. Alec Baldwin, you brought it on yourself. And the reason I say that is because there's no doubt in me that feels like he was acting incredibly reckless with that firearm. And instead of hating the Second Amendment, instead of being so anti-gun, if you spent some time and learned about firearms and learned about firearm safety and learned the things you should and you shouldn't do with firearms, I don't think you would be in this situation, because I know very few people who would do the things that he was accused of doing in this particular case, because they understand there are things you just don't do with the firearm. I don't care whether or not they tell you it's loaded. I don't care if they tell you it's unloaded. You don't point a firearm at anybody at any given point ever whatsoever. Unless, of course, we're talking about a situation where, from a movie standpoint, you're supposed to point a firearm towards someone. But then in that particular case, from as far as that I know, as far as I'm aware of, even in those situations, you never actually point the gun at the person. You either point it off to the side, to the right of the head, so forth and so on. In this particular case, he clearly pointed it at her. So for me, I think this is a good thing, as it demonstrates an example of holding people accountable for their actions. But like I said before, would this happen if he actually spent time learning about firearms instead of demonizing them and then celebrating them in movies? No, I don't think it would happen. But this is a consistent pattern that you typically get from a lot of people in Hollywood. They'll glorify the firearm and then in the real world demonize them and tell people that they shouldn't have a right to bear arms, which you now then see what the consequences of that are. An individual who doesn't know anything about firearms and rather would hate them and bemoan them and tell people they shouldn't be able to have firearms or the Second Amendment, use this as a lesson. Use this as a lesson to understand that we'd be better off in this country if we spent more time engaging people and teaching people about firearm safety than we would trying to vilify firearms. And I'm not just talking about people in Hollywood, I'm also talking about people in politics. So many lives can be spared and saved if we spent more time teaching the masses about firearm safety. No, instead, you want to try to convince people of gun control. And when you do that in a country that has over 400 million guns, you're going to see stuff like this continue to happen because they don't have the knowledge and they don't have the education. And we have the platforms, we have the people putting out the information, but no, you want to silence them. You have social media platforms that try to silence people in the gun industry who create content teaching gun safety, teaching people how to be safe. All of the gun tubers in the world, all the people in the gun community have platforms. All of these platforms spend more time trying to figure out ways to basically shadow ban us, essentially, or completely outright ban us, instead of allowing the information to flow freely so that people can get a better education on firearms. That's by and large how I learned as much as I have about my firearm knowledge and ownership, so forth and so on when I first got into firearms. It was because of the information I was able to ascertain online. And we would have a much safer community and a much safer country with respect to accidental firearm deaths. And they're not really accidental, they're negligent, which is why I think he's being charged now, because his behavior was negligent and reckless. Right now, there's a culture war against the Second Amendment, which is why I need your help spreading our message to counter their message. You can help do this by leaving a comment, sharing this video, and click the bell and subscribe button. Let my voice be your voice and let them know you want to keep America tactical, because the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed wasn't a suggestion, it was a directive. Also, if you're wondering where to purchase your AR-15s are essential, I will not comply. I am the militia, the new Draco design, and your state-specific Keep America Tactical shirt. Click the link under the Keep America Tactical in the description section of this video. Or if you're watching this on mobile, tap the small triangle on the lower right-hand side of this video and click the link in the description.